Your thesis on Airbnb is that it's not cheap right now, but it's a great business.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for having me, Andrew. So very high quality name, strong balance sheet, a leader in vacation rentals, seeing very strong demand, stock up on that, also executing on costs. And in addition to that, they have some really exciting opportunities into getting into new verticals like experiences and expanding their core business internationally.
The CEO, Brian Chesky, says, or he's quoted as saying, he wants Airbnb to be, quote, similar to Amazon. It'll be the one place to go for all of your traveling and living needs. How would they diversify this company, or how would they move it into new areas?
Yeah, so they plan to get in a couple of new areas over the next few years. The first and most exciting, or one of the most exciting, like I just alluded to, is experiences or things to do. Mm-hmm. This is a huge market. It's the size of vacation rentals. We think it really makes sense to add that onto their core vacation rental business. Their culture is very communal, so these individual hosts can now offer specialized, localized things to do and be a really unique offering in this huge and fragmented market.
So what, a host would kind of guide the guest around their city? I could give people a tour of Toronto, let me tell you. Anyway, carry on. Would that be the idea?
Well, we think. So there's not a lot of details yet. Now, in May, they're going to relaunch experiences. They had initially gotten to this before the pandemic. Pandemic hit, so they wanted to focus back on their core business. They're ready to relaunch experiences now. We'll get more information in May. We think that it would make sense to, in addition to have kind of the cookie cutter London Eye type experiences, to have these individual hosts, which have their own knowledge of the areas, offer something unique. So we think that's where they can kind of differentiate themselves to other players in the market.
Yeah, I could offer a bicycle tour of Toronto, but I can see a lot of things going wrong, so maybe I'll hold off for now. Let's have a look, say, at a 10-year look for the. Actually, it may not have been public. No, it only went public during the pandemic. Wasn't that interesting? They went public at a very tough time.
They did, but it was also a time when there still was excitement about travel and kind of innovative companies. And the timing specifically for them was good because before the pandemic, they didn't really run this business efficiently. They spent a lot on marketing. And then what they realized during the pandemic, when people started to travel again, they hadn't turned back on their marketing engines. But despite that, they were getting all these bookings, and they realized they don't have to spend as much on marketing because people know about Airbnb. It's a verb and noun in our society. So that, in addition to kind of just getting, some good senior executive leadership in there, they really have done a good job at getting EBITDA margins last year now at 36%.
Apparently, there are 5 core markets, or Britain, the US, Canada, France, and Australia. And they, according to one report I'm seeing at marketingweek.com, they're about 70% of the gross booking value. Interesting that France is a big market for them.
Yeah, so those 5 core markets are 70% of their volumes. Now, what's interesting is that they have targeted about 10 other international markets that they think can eventually get to the penetration of those 5 core markets. Brazil is one where they started kind of hiring people to get more supply, focused on customized local payments and things like that. And they've seen good results with Brazil. And then for these 10 expansion markets, they said in the quarter that the nights booked were, the growth rate of those in those expansion markets were twice the rate of the overall core markets, those 5 markets. So they're investing here, and we think that can also kind of continue to drive strong bookings growth for the foreseeable future for the company.
Yeah, it's interesting. Japan, obviously, we all want to. I once was in Japan. I loved it. Japan is experiencing a tourist boom. So there could be good growth potential there.
Yeah, Japan. Let's see. There's a couple areas. I mentioned Brazil.
Yep.
Mexico is another one. So there's a couple other Asia Pacific countries. In Europe also, they're underpenetrated in a lot of other markets. So very strong penetration in the UK and France, but not so much in other markets like Spain. So opportunities are really all over the world for this company.
Yeah, it's interesting. Apparently, the Japanese regulators have been easing up on their rules on these rentals in contrast to a lot of other cities around the world where Airbnb is kind of a dirty word.
Yeah, I mean, so there was a time before the pandemic when I think it was the city of Tokyo became very stringent with regulations,
Oh,
and you know what you kind of see is maybe some countries they have times where they're stringent and then they kind of ease up on those regulations. But these cities really kind of do need Airbnb. It's kind of a give and take. Like on one hand, you want to make sure that the quality of life of your residents is favorable and high. But on the other side, like Airbnb drives a lot of tourism and that creates jobs and that supports jobs and it supports, you know, revenue for the overall economies. So Airbnb has been working with these cities. They're going to continue to. I would say the regulatory environment is probably less stringent today than it was maybe going back before the pandemic in like 2017.
Dan, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much.